After performing a sold-out show at Madison Square Garden this week, the Afrobeat superstar Davido has announced that he had inked a landmark deal with Stout's United Masters, a distributor and licensed platform that caters to independent artists. I found this interesting for a couple of reasons. One, I'm pretty sure United Masters did a deal with SARS for a like producer academy, which speaks to like how United Masters plans to grow as a company and a label type of shit, which I think is interesting. And two, Davido's last album was still under Sony, right? I'm unsure if he's released any like singles or EPs since then, and if they've been independent. But I would be interested to know like if this is a recent thing because um two of his artists that he had talked about that he had released, one of them put out a project that I talked about on here. And so I would just be interested to see how his inner workings are being put together. I'm gonna pull that up. But what did you think of this?
I think it's really interesting. I think it's cool to see some of these artists we were talking about or started talking about a couple of years ago who were really getting traction. Obviously, DeVito is more so. I would call him a vet, but a vet. I feel like he's been around for a long while now. I think it's interesting to see them stepping into those executive roles and seeing what they're gonna do and how they would change the industry based off of like their experiences in it. So I think that'll be interesting to see. Like I even think like Lil Yachty, even though he started way too early, in my opinion, like I thought that was interesting too, to be able to give people the opportunity that you were or weren't afforded. So I think that's really interesting, and I think something I'm going to be watching, paying attention to.
Okay. So
Your
SARS does have a deal with United Masters. And basically, the deal is so SARS did have a deal basically saying he's going to discover, develop, and empower the next generation of African artists. That just sounds like a label deal in its own way, but per producers. And then I don't think Davido hasn't put out a single, an independent single since his last album. He's only done collabs. Yo, this is a yo. In all honesty, this is a crazy. He did the Drift remix. He put out a song called "Tway Tway" with Kiss Daniel, which was a bop, and then he did "Sensational" with. That's a crazy. And then he did another song with Chris Brown on the deluxe. That's a crazy way to like keep yourself afloat while you're getting your label deal out. But I wouldn't be surprised if he just his next he's independent again. You know what I'm saying? I would not be surprised if that was the case.
I think there's going to be a wave of independence coming in these next few years. Like it's already kind of started. I feel like there's more independent artists than there was before because there's just more access to be able to do it. But I feel like more and more people are going to take that step. And I even feel like, see, I think it started, not started, but like you see it with artists like Taylor Swift, even though she was signed somewhere, she got off that deal and started doing her own thing. Drake got off his deal and started doing his own thing, even though I don't know Drake's label dealings, but either
We'll
way,
never
started
know.
doing his
We'll
own
never
thing.
know.
Never know, bro. I still think like people like Big Sean, J. Cole doing their own thing now. I feel like that's gonna be more and more of a thing people are
Big
doing.
Sean's Big Sean's not independent, is he?
I thought he got all good music.
He got out good music, but I think he was just signed to Def Jam still. Yeah, he's still signed to Def Jam. He's just in a yeah. Which
Maybe I'm wrong
I
about
still
that.
think is interesting. Like when we came in here and talked about like how Def Jam was looking new when Wale had come out, like Def Jam now is, in my opinion, primarily an international label, which is so crazy to me to say. Like I think like Stormzy is still one of their biggest artists. You know what I'm saying? Um, but regardless, we'll see where this goes. We'll see if Davido puts out some new music. I hope he does soon. You know what I'm saying?